Bob Lee was the founder of the multi-billion-dollar tech company Cash App. He relocated to Miami and was reportedly staying an extra day in San Francisco, where he was sentenced to death on Tuesday, April 4th. The 43-year-old tech mogul was found at 2:35 a.m. outside a luxury high-rise apartment on the 300 block of Main Street near Rincon Hill and the Bay Bridge with life-threatening stab wounds. Lee was the chief product officer of San Francisco-based cryptocurrency startup Mobilecoin and an active investor in companies such as SpaceX, Clubhouse, and Figma.
Shock, sadness, and anger. That's how people have reacted to Bob Lee's death. Sources tell me he was in town for business only for a couple days and staying at a nearby hotel. But police have not released any new information about what led up to that deadly stabbing. What happens under and near the Bay Bridge has been a bother.
We wanted to see more lights, more patrolling.
But the Rincon Hill neighborhood in San Francisco was rocked by the deadly stabbing of tech executive Bob Lee. Still no arrests and no named suspect, as those who knew Lee pay tribute. Those who know the area express frustration.
I think for the past 10 years, I've seen things getting worse and worse and worse every year.
Sam Habash has run a corner convenience store for more than 15 years and says he now closes early for safety reasons.
It's really pitch dark. You walk down the street, you probably get mugged, you could probably get robbed.
Many people here have a sense that everything from break-ins to homicides are on the rise. And now with Lee's death, the San Francisco Police Union agrees.
You have to recognize that we do have a problem, we have an issue. This stabbing was, I believe, like the third or fourth stabbing within, I think, 72 hours.
Surveillance footage at around 2:30 a.m. showed Lee's final moments when he cried for help, but his pleas fell on deaf ears of onlookers. The footage initially shows Lee walking along a deserted sidewalk on Main Street with his mobile phone in one hand and holding his side with the other. The Cash App founder then crossed at the intersection with Harrison Street, where a white Toyota Camry with flashing lights was parked. The footage reportedly showed Lee lifting up his shirt in a plea for help and then falling to the ground as the driver pulled away. Lee then got back up on his feet and started to retrace his steps along the Main Street in the direction of the Bay Bridge before collapsing again outside of the Portside apartment building at 403 Main Street. His friend, who was not named, said Lee had stayed an extra day and was to meet him this weekend.
Just almost numbing. I think everybody close to Bob is just in shock because there was no one who I don't think didn't love Bob.
Doug Dalton had dinner with Lee last Saturday, saying Lee had relocated to Miami, but was back in town involved in a business summit with the company he worked for called Mobilecoin. Dalton says Lee's spirits were high.
He literally did not seem to have a care in the world. He was very excited about kind of where things were going with Mobilecoin. He was very excited to be back in the Bay for a bit.
Then, days later, at 2:35 a.m. Tuesday, police say Lee dialed 911, telling dispatch he had been stabbed, but not giving them a location.
Copy. There's a male screaming help, saying someone stabbed me. He is not giving a 20. This is a cell phone site location. Advise he's bleeding out. Medics from Route Code 3. He's back. 1756. 365 Main, cross of Folsom and Harrison. However, that's a cell phone site. We're still waiting for an exact 20. He is outside on the street.
Still saddened and confused, not knowing what happened.
Even if somebody were trying to rob him or something of that nature, Bob is one of those people who he would not have tried to fight them or anything of that like that. He values his children too much, and so I couldn't imagine anything like that.
Sources told our ABC 7 News I-team that a kitchen knife with a 4-inch blade was found in a Caltrans parking lot across the street. Was that the weapon used here? That is unknown right now. J.R. Stone, ABC 7 News.
Late 2021, Lee became Chief Product Officer of Mobilecoin and said in a statement that he hoped the company could help the hundreds of millions of unbanked people worldwide by giving them an option of democratized access to digital cash. The company received $66 million in venture backing. So I know I can't be the only one trying to figure out why did Bob Lee stay an extra day? Why was Bob Lee out at 2:30 in the morning when this is the same guy who said he moved out of San Francisco due to the violence, the crime, the drug use? But this man's gonna be out wandering the streets at 2:30 in the morning? Really? Who was he with? Is what I would like to know. This was a business trip. Who else was on this business trip? He stabbed a mile away from the Startup Square building. This was not a random attack. Not in my opinion. They're saying, oh yeah, random attacks over here and there. Okay, that's the perfect opportunity to set someone up in a town, a city, or a place where crime is high. Yeah, duh. This happens all the time. I don't trust this. Absolutely not. And now we have the Federal Reserve coming up with Fed Now. Huh? The American dollar is becoming obsolete. These countries don't want to work with the US. They said, F you, stick that American dollar up your ass.
Downfall of the dollar remains work in progress. The US dollar is facing a backlash. We told you about this last week. We got a lot of positive feedback on that story, so thanks for that. Tonight, we'll bring you the second part of our story. This one is about alliances, about countries joining hands to challenge the US dollar. At the forefront of this is BRICS. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS. These are the biggest emerging economies in the world. BRICS represents 41% of the world's population, 24% of the world's GDP, and more than 16% of the world's trade. Now, Russia thinks that BRICS should do more, so it has floated the idea of a common currency. The first indication came in January. Russia's foreign minister had issued a statement then. I have a copy with me. This is what Sergei Lavrov said. Serious, self-respecting countries are well aware of what is at stake and want to create their own mechanisms to ensure sustainable development. It is in this direction that the initiatives that have been voiced recently about the need to think about creating our own currencies within the framework of BRICS. This was about 3 months ago. The idea is now gathering steam. Reports say they're working on a proposal which is likely to be taken up in August. That's when the BRICS summit will be held in South Africa. Russia has been pushing for this since last year. The Russian president backs the idea. Last year he said, and I'm quoting, "The matter of creating the international reserve currency based on the basket of currencies of our countries is under review." Russia has its own reasons to push for this. It is under Western sanctions. Its access to the global banking system has been limited. It cannot use the US dollar freely, so it is pushing for a new global reserve currency. And the other members of BRICS seem open to the idea. They too want to challenge the dollar's hegemony.
Well, as they come together and they develop their foreign investment strategies against the US of A, okay, they've been doing this since like 2001. I suggest that you invest in gold and silver, you plant your own fruits and veggies, because shit is hitting the fan. I said in the beginning of January, and I'll say it again, the number 7 is very significant. Okay, we are in the year 7. I don't believe in coincidences, all right? My condolences go out to Bob Lee's family, his wife, his daughters, his loved ones, and I'm out of here, y'all. Later.